Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. I'm really excited that you are here. We're going to talk about email marketing. We've talked about this a few times on the podcast, and I think it's just one of those topics that we're going to continue to bring up and continue to talk about because it's that important to your growth and to your success. So I brought on Kate Doster. She's so fun. I loved our interview. She's the host of the Inbox Besties podcast, creator of the Love Your List 2.0 email marketing mega course, and is dangerously obsessed with helping ethical entrepreneurs carve out their slice of the interwebs. She helps her students open the hearts and wallets of their small but mighty audiences thanks to fun email marketing and easy yes mini offers. She believes that you do not need to bleed the alphabet or be a dirty, rotten spam face to write emails that jolt subscribe. So we talk about all things about creating an email marketing strategy that actually works. One of the things I loved is that we really dive into her six-figure launch, how she did a six-figure webinar launch with only 2,000 people on her email list, and the email strategy, the follow-up sequence that came with that. So we talk about a lot of stuff email marketing, but that was one of my favorite things. I'm like, oh, I'm taking notes on that. So you're going to want to take notes and enjoy. Hey, Kate, welcome to the show.
Hi, I am so excited to be here.
So excited to have you here. So let's start off. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
Sure. So my name is Kate Doster of katedoster.com. I'm the host of the Inbox Besties podcast, and it is my soul and soul's mission to put money in the hands of good people so they can do good with it. And I like to help people doing that by being able to sell to their audience without feeling like a dirty, rotten spammer face. And because I'm all about doing things that have the biggest impact, just like you are, email marketing was just the thing, because it's been proven time and time again that when you build this close-knit relationship with your audience in their inbox, they're more likely to pay you, which is a great thing.
Yes, I love it. So how'd you get into email marketing? Why was that like the thing?
So I started out as a copywriter with a W. So that just means that I got paid money to write words that made people take actions. So when you're a copywriter, especially when you're first starting out, you get hired for a variety of assignments. So it can be writing home pages, which is my least favorite, about pages, sales pages, launch copy. And the launch copy was the thing that I loved the best. I am a natural storyteller. I am very much a people person. And I just feel like when you're in the inbox, you can have such a connection. And sometimes even, on Instagram, or even now a little bit more on TikTok, like people are letting a little bit of the personality shine through, but I feel like people feel like they can be more of themselves in the inbox because not a lot of people are going to see it. It's usually really contained. And again, it got the best results for my clients because it's like, your homepage can have a main objection of getting sales calls or getting people to sign up for their email list, but where really is that ROI? But with that launch sequence, like you can see that. And that's what I loved.
I love it. So let's dive in. All things email marketing. Can you talk to us? Does size matter?
No.
Why not?
People don't know if they're one of 100 or one of a million.
Okay.
When you learn how to talk to people like people, because humans aren't logical. I think that's one thing that people need to realize that they're not. I mean, the smoking industry wouldn't be a thing, right? Like, why are you going to buy something that costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars, that gives you bad teeth, that can kill you, that's going to give you cancer? It makes no sense. Yep. So when you are trying to logic people either into a sale or into a click, so that way, they'll follow you on social media or they'll go read your latest blog post, it's not going to work. You need to appeal to some human emotion because people act on feelings and emotion, and then they'll justify with logic later. Right. So if you are focusing on only letting in action takers onto your email list, we can talk about that in a second, and you're actually talking to them, telling them more about your offers, more than once, talking about them in a different way, thinking to yourself, what would hold somebody back? Why would somebody not believe in themselves to be able to get the results? Why would somebody not find this, important right now? Those sorts of a thing. It's going to work. And this is why my students and myself, our conversion rate and our list of customers to just general subscribers is astronomical compared to everybody else, because we're making sure that lead magnet that we have isn't something that's like super generic. It is something that only somebody who is thinking to themselves, I really want to get fit. but I love chocolate too much. Now, if someone's just sitting on their couch and they're just like, oh yeah, I could stand to lose a few pounds, but then they don't have any objections or excuses after it, that means they're not serious. But when you can make sure that your freebie answers a really specific, but I want to start a blog, but I don't know technology, but how do I get people to write it, like to read it? How do I get this? How, all these buts that people have.
Yeah.
Not only are you going to know, okay, they're in a little bit more of an action-y mindset because they're actually having some issues, but they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, Rachel, how did you know that was my problem? And when you can mirror back somebody's problem so specifically, not just like, how to build a 6-figure business, but is it how to build a 6-figure coaching business when none of your friends and family will hire you? Then they're going to be like, oh my goodness, she gets me. Then you solve that one little problem. But we all know once you solve one little thing, there's a million other things. Whether you're teaching somebody, we have students that do finish, somebody teaching plants, there's always more things to do. But when you solve that one piece perfectly and you sort of show them how it fits into your overall plan for them to have success, whether it's saving money on their grocery bill or learning how to budget biweekly, it just works. So that's why size doesn't matter. You start with the right people, you solve a little bit of their problem, and then you just go to the races.
Are you focused on repelling people at all with your opt-in?
I say go ahead.
Yeah.
It naturally will be, if somebody is not concerned about that, then they'll just kind of fly under the radar.
Right.
Now, I'm very much of the philosophy that, and maybe this is why I don't get a lot of hate mail. Like I send a lot of emails. The majority of them, I'm usually asking for something because I know when people take action, I know when you put money down, you're more likely to do things. Like that's just, again, treat people like people. That purse you got from Target is looking, pretty gross. And in my case, like has applesauce in it. But like the Coach bag, it only comes out at weddings. So I'm very excited weddings are back as of the time we're recording, because now you get to bust out the fancy stuff. People value things that they actually pay for. So that's why when you're thinking to yourself, my freebie, again, that's just the free thing you're giving somebody to join your email list. My landing pages, that's, the page where it's not like your blog headline or menu. It's just like opt-in form, some copy. Copy just means words, y'all, and a button. Those are your gatekeepers. That's the way I think of it. So if I'm going to get back a message of like the, unsubscribe me or like, how dare you, which we very rarely get, I'm usually mad at my opt-in. I'm like, who let these people in? Like your freebie is your bouncer, because being on your list is a privilege, and those people don't get to hang out with you. They don't get to be in your energy, in your enthusiasm. They don't get to have the privilege of your knowledge, of your help, of your expertise. They don't get it. They're out.
Yeah.
And that's why in welcome series, especially if you're doing a more general one, on the third one, I want you to like stick your stake in the ground about something in your industry. So that way people know right off the bat, like, again, health and wellness. Are you into intermittent fasting, or do you think it's a load of garbage? Like those sorts of things, like pick a stand, because the people that resonate with you, you will have fans for life and they'll tell everyone else about you. The rest of the people, they'll leave.
Yeah. So the goal with that would be like unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're not telling them that they're stupid. It's just like, hey, literally it's in the context of always putting their needs first. I don't want you wasting your time with somebody who doesn't align with your own values, because I know your time is precious. So if you think that everything you just read is a load of crap, then I would unsubscribe.
Yep.
Because you don't need this.
Yeah,
you know what I
totally.
mean? Like, and so then they're like, oh man. Like, and so some people will come around to your aspect, but we definitely go in with that. Being on my list is a privileged mindset, and you put your people first. Like it's a duality. Amazing things can happen.
I love that. So if the goal is to like get the right people onto your email list, then what is your goal in terms of conversion on that opt-in page?
Like percentage wise, or?
Yeah. Cause like, obviously like usually industries, like you want the highest number of percentage possible, but if you're only looking for like the right amount of people, does that matter for you at all? Or you're not concerned about that?
I think that with opt-in rates, the things that people need to realize is the difference between types of traffic. So I would never have a landing page where I'm sending, say, people from Facebook ads that have never heard of me, never seen my content, have no idea who like Rachel is and all the amazing stuff that she has to offer and to help, right? I'm never going to send those same people to the people who've listened to my podcast, who are reading a blog post, who are watching a YouTube video. I'm going to send them to 2 different pages because the math is going to get skewed. Because at some points number matters, right? Like at some point, yes. If you only have a $7 ebook and 10 people, you're not going to make $100 million. That is not going to work. Right.
Yep.
But with the landing pages, with both sets, you're always trying to think of that top part. Am I actually going to the right places to get the right people?
Right.
So it's not like you'd be like, oh man, like I had a 20% opt-in rate. Like I'm the best, as opposed to like, if you had 40, of course you always want better. But again, you want your actual, if you're doing ads, you want your ad copy to be dialed in and your targeting to be dialed in the first place. So when they get to the landing page, it's almost a no-brainer. If you're asking for people's emails in say blog posts that you've created, you're going to make sure that the topic that they came for is related to that. Right.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that you're thinking about. We always want to beat ourselves. Like that's the main goal for sure. Everybody. So when they ask me what a good number is, I'm like more than 5, but
more than 5,
more than 5%, I guess. But truly it's how can I just get it better? That. And again, because my background's being a copywriter, if you don't have like 1,000 people looking at it, then you can't make any rash decisions. Cause that's usually like the minimum audience sort of baseline.
Yeah.
It's like, well, my landing page is only converting at 10%. You had 10 people look at it and 1 person signed up.
Right.
Your math got skewed again.
And it could have been you 10 times. Like,
right. Like again, you could have been 6 of those. I mean, it's very important to know your numbers.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not one of those people because I'm pretty touchy-feely, if you can tell already, guys. I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, so I'm going to have $100,000 launch. So I need this many people to see the landing page. I need this many people to sign up for the webinar. I need this many people to show up live. I'm just like, I'm having $100,000 launch.
Yeah.
That's just it. And that's the energy that I go with. And it's like that, this is 135 students and they're coming and it's fine. But at some point you should probably look at numbers. I know I'm not the best with that, but
Cool. So you had a 6-figure launch with an email list of 2,000 people on it.
Yeah. It was 2,000 on the wait list. Yep.
That's pretty cool. So how?
How? Start with the right people, right? So my general overall email list is bigger than 2,000. This again comes down to the right people. So I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah.
It was people that had signed up for our webinar or any type of the sort of pre-launchy activities. People knew it was coming.
Right.
I told you, and I gave them an out. Yeah. The reason why we had this $100,000 launch and our product, y'all, because I know I get a little salty when people are like, I had a $100,000 launch and their product is like 2,000, 5,000. Well, if you've got, a $10,000 mastermind and you sell 10 spots, like, of course, right? Like, there you go. It's $777. So we're not even at $1,000. So that's what I like to tell people like there, right? So we had the 2,000 people. We had a webinar because those are my favorite ways to teach. So that's the first thing. Whenever your launch trigger is, make it something you enjoy.
Yeah.
I am not the type of gal that can show up being the introvert that I am 5 days in a row live in a Facebook group.
It's a lot.
That's just not my jam. I know that model works for a fact. I know people love challenges. They're the best. They love community. For me, sometimes I have energetic boundary issues and I'm like, oh my goodness, all those people are going to want me 24/7 for like, no, I show up and I give it my all for that 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is. We'll answer all of the questions that we've got going, all that sort of stuff. Right. And then it's the emails afterwards. And the thing with the webinars in particular for this launch, we did do 2 webinars. It was the same exact topic. It was to basically write emails so good people lick the screen. So that was it. That was its subtitle, right? Again, it's very visual. Why did this launch work? Because learn how to talk to people, right? I'm not going to say something like build the business of your dreams. And no offense to anybody who says that, but you need to know your person's idea of their dreams. Yeah. Some people, it's going to be that they are now like overflowing in Chanel bags and they're jetting off to Paris. Some people it's sitting on the beach. My people just want to go to Whole Foods and buy organic raspberries and not care what the price is. Yeah. That's a luxury that my people want. So, so those are the types of phrases that I'm using because I know my people. I know the things in their heads that's going to hold them back from either believing in myself, in the method, or themselves. But I'm also brutally honest with people where I'm just like, no, this course is not free. Like there's a couple of people on the webinar that I'm just like, no, like you're too beginner. Like, no, I don't think that you should come into this, or no, you do e-commerce. This isn't for you. So I'm very specific of no, this isn't for you, or yes, this will be a good fit for you. Yep. And so I think that that works. We also, on the webinar itself, because I thought this was pretty fun. If people show up live and they stay to the end, we give them Starbucks. So for 24 hours, we have a little gift card image that people can use. Not that many people, I have to say, always ends up being less than a sale in Starbucks. But I think that's really fun because I like to have fun and I like to have prizes for people and keep that in there. I made the webinar really fun. In those follow-up emails, we did have a fast action bonus that was going to go away. And then because I'm a softie, I just decided to surprise everybody with it. So they got it. But that method does work for a lot of people to encourage people to buy really quickly. I made sure that we sent emails on the last day. I want to say we sent 3, but none of them are that typical, like, oh, you've got 5 minutes left. Like, why didn't you sort of buy this, dummy? It is addressing concerns that people would have. Like, I have a whole bunch of other courses and I've never finished it, right? That's not something that most people would think would be like, oh, but Kate, shouldn't you be like selling email marketing or like selling your students' results? Of course, we shove some testimonials in there as we're going, right? But it was, what do I know is holding my people back? So then it was proving to them how finishing a course does not get you anything. What gets you something, and this goes for everybody, is action. Action is what's going to get you there. Filling out a cheat sheet is not going to do anything unless you actually implement what the cheat sheet is talking about. Yep. And so then I gave testimonials of students who were like, I only did half this and here are the results that I got. Wow. Because it made sense. Yeah. So you need to sort of think to yourself, again, what are all of the things that are going to be holding people back? Right.
Yeah.
What are they concerned about? And so that's not an email that you're going to send the first day that your cart opens, because that's the other thing when you're actually plotting out your launch. Because you had asked, again, not that everyone's going to read all of your emails, though some people do. Tag those people, you're going to want to know. But at the beginning, it's just sort of a little bit more general, right? It's about kind of what they're doing. And then it's, frequently asked questions. People are going to have those, everything that's going on there. And then you're kind of getting more into that. Why don't they believe that they can get their money's worth? Why don't they believe that they can be successful? Now, again, if you're selling something and it's like $12, you don't need to send like 8 emails about how they can recoup their $12. Right. Okay? Right. So again, you've got to make sure it's perfect, because I have some students that are like, well, it's a full launch series. I'm like, that is, as I tell most people, like, that is using a chainsaw to cut butter. You can, but it's overkill. Yeah. So it's not going to work. So I think that that's really, truly what it is very much understanding your audience, not repeating yourself when you're sending those launch emails, and really, truly making it about them. Right. Like, I think even in my webinar, I think I talk about myself for a slide. And I know most people tell you like, oh, share your story of, if it's our B2B space, like your rags to riches stories or like any of this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, they need to know that I was a copywriter and I'm not somebody that just like hit it big with like a Pinterest pin, because I deal with a lot of bloggers. I'm like, yeah, they need to know I've got some credibility, but that's it. Like, they don't need to know that I started this business and I pulled this off of food stamps because I built this thing. It doesn't matter. What matters is they need to take action and they need to get results. So that's kind of how someone's like, oh, well, like, I don't storytelling in my launch emails. Like, yeah, you can shove some in there, but that doesn't have to be the backbone, everybody. Let your person be the star. They'll be happy. You'll be happy. It all works.
So I'm taking notes on this for the webinar follow-up emails, because I think this is such a good spot for us to dive in. So make it about them, why they don't believe they can be successful. How many emails are you sending post-webinar? For how long are you having cart open?
We like to play around with it. I usually, in our next launch, we're going to open it up a little bit longer, but Usually we'll have like a webinar Monday, Tuesday, because I do like to repeat. And some people love to come to twice. I don't know if they just like to scope out to see what's different, but I do like to do them live with live launches. So they're Monday, Tuesday, and then usually the cart closes on Saturday. And most people are like, closing on a Saturday. I'm like, it always works for us. But I'm like, okay. So they will get the replay emails. If they signed up for Monday, they don't get a replay because we tell them to come to Tuesday.
Got it.
Come on, you missed it. Don't you still want your free coffee? Like, come on, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Making it worth your while. I'll pay you the $5 for your time. And then on the Tuesday, depending if we do it later on at night, or if that's our afternoon one, it could be the next day or later on that day. It'll be like the webinar replay. Usually that one, it's, screenshots of like the comments and like what people are saying. And it's a very sort of brief mention about the course. And then after that, like the next day, again, it depends timeline wise how it goes, is really that first like official, like open cart email. And even my open cart email is about them and all the hard work they've been doing.
Right.
Like, it's not even like, ooh, like I'm Kate and I've been doing this for a gajillion years and like all this, like, no, like it's about them and what they're doing. And then we just sort of go from there. So I want to say, depending on what segment you're in, anywhere between, I think 9 to 11, but sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes honestly, like I do have my general sort of launch sequence, but sometimes I just get inspired, or like sometimes, and this is why I'm a fan of doing something live, obviously for a live launch, there might be a really great question that you didn't even think of that somebody asks. And so you might want to base a whole email off of that and addressing that concern that people has. Or, I love to offer people kind of a sneak peek of the course, but not just like a video walkthrough. Like I'll give them a lesson. I'm just like, here's the lesson. You get it till the cart ends. And like, people love it. Sometimes for that, if you want to get people into your course platform so they can have a look around, you can do it that way. We've been testing out that way. And also sometimes I'll take the lesson and honestly, I'll just put it on a sales page. So it's like the top half is the lesson and the bottom half is the rest of the sales page. I'm like, I worked hard writing that sales page. I should read it. And it works really well. Again, you've got your frequently asked questions. You've got your bigger sort of, buts. And my last chance emails, I like to play games with people, like not like mind games. I'm talking like, I like to have fun in this last one. And those are probably my favorite emails to write. Cause then that email usually just boils down to flip a coin. And I'm like, I can't believe you said flip a coin. I'm like, if you get heads and that's supposed to be buy and you're excited, then buy. If you got heads and you're like, oh, then don't buy. Like it's going to tell you what you want to do. Cause if you're reading that last chance email, chances are you are truly on the fence and you really are nervous, at least in our industry, of can you recoup the cost?
Right.
So it's like, that's really where we're just like putting everybody at ease. Cause that's my style. I'm like, if you're not going to have fun, I'm not the person for you.
Yeah. No,
I don't want to hang out with us.
No. Like you belong with someone else. Go hang out over there.
And I rather they like, it's not like ew, I hate you. It's like I said in the very beginning, my mission is to put money in the hands of good people.
Yeah.
If you need someone who's drier, who's more type A, who is a little bit more soft spoken and doesn't say things like spammer face, I don't care. I just need you to go do it.
Right.
Like I just need you to make the money. Like I don't care. And when people feel that, cause it's genuine, it's going to draw more people to you.
I think that's huge.
You seem like you really care about your audience. I do.
Yeah. Like take the action. I don't care if it's with me or not. Like, I just want you to get results and take action. And you might get results with me and like, you might vibe with me and my personality and you might not, but find that person that you can learn from so you can like triple your income or whatever that looks like.
Exactly. That's why I want people to go to the webinar or, check out the preview lesson. Cause I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I would much rather you find that out before you give me money. And it's, the 28th day of the refund policy. And you've like, skimmed through 85% of the course. And now you're like asking for your money back.
Isn't that annoying?
Right. Like, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why we have such a low refund rate. And one person had just gotten sick. So we just gifted it to her. I'm like, I'm not going to be that way, but I think we've had 2 in all of this current year right now. And we have a lot more than that student wise percentage. Right. It's because like we put this in there. And I know recently people have been like, how do you handle refunds and all that? That's been a big sort of topic in the course creator niche. but like, I just let people know. I'm like, you see what you get. Like, I need to make sure that you're actually taking action. So like, yeah, I'm going to want to see stuff. Like, that's just it. Other people, they'll do no questions asked. If that works for their business, that's awesome.
Yep.
But I only want to help you and allow you in my space if you're willing to help yourself.
Yes, totally. Yes. So let's talk about just your regular email list and emails that you're sending out, like a broadcast email. How often are you sending out emails? Like every week, 3 times a week?
Every week. So when you actually break that down, y'all, and you grab a calendar, most of the time it's 4 emails. You can handle writing 4 emails a month.
Yeah.
Even if you sit down at the very, very beginning and you grab a calendar, I'm a big fan of Trello. So I'll click on my little power up and you can plot out like the 4 emails that you want to send. The reason why I say shoot for 4, if you miss a week, it's okay. 3 is better than none. Heck, 2 is better than none. Mm-hmm. The thing is that you want to stay top of mind.
Yep.
Sadly, myself and Rachel and everyone else listening, we're not Oprah status. Oprah could email once every 3 years and we would not care.
It's true.
But she's Oprah.
Right.
Right? We do not have that luxury of staying top of mind for people. So that's why we're looking to show up. So then again, you wonder, how do you have $100,000 launch with a product that's low with no ads? Like, how do you do this? Because you show up for your people. Yep. So then the second you give them the opportunity to work with you in a bigger way, to hold them more accountable, because secretly that's what people need, but I wouldn't use that as your big selling point.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm going to make sure we get through this together is a lot more than you'll have accountability. Like, that's why, because you show up for them. This is the same thing for people who are doing like Black Friday promotions and Cyber Monday. People love to buy those days. And you have no idea. There could be people on your list in your community who are literally just waiting. Like, they want to give you cash, right, to show up. What people hate is people that they have not heard from months.
Yep.
They don't even know at this point how they even got your email address. And now you're just showing up with, a roundup of resources or this amazing offer that's 75% off.
Right.
No. You're going to have so many spam reports.
Yep.
But what's really cool when you show up week after week or every other week, if it happens, again, shoot for those 4. If you realize that like you love writing these emails now all of a sudden because the pressure's off and you want to add an extra day a week, go right ahead. But again, start with those 4 emails a week and build from there. Don't say, I'm going to email 3 times a week. Start with those 4. Because then again, when things come up, people will be looking for you.
Yep.
People might even ask you like, hey, I was going to purchase this. Do you happen to have a referral link for it? Oh, I do. Because you've been showing up, because you've been taking care of them, because you've been getting them results, because you're making them feel understood. That's what's going to work.
Yeah. I'll share, Ed Milet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have been listening to his podcast and watching his YouTube videos. I don't know if I'm on his email list or not. So it's not email, but it's like in general, him showing up and adding value to my life consistently over time. And I was like, I went to his website. I was like, he doesn't have anything that I can buy from him. Cause I'm like, take my money. You've added so much value to my life. Like, I want to be able to support you. When he came out with his program, the Arte Syndicate, I was like, I'm in 100% in, because he's just been showing up so consistently, adding so much value to my life. It was like a no brainer for me to be like, I want to dive in deeper with you. So like, and when you do that in email form, it's the exact same thing of like, people want to dive in and work with you.
Yeah. Cause think about it. Like, again, Instagram is just sort of top in the brain after what's been happening recently, but you probably follow, I'm going to go with at least 300 people. Most people it's 500 plus. Are you subscribed to that many people's newsletter list? No, you are not. You are subscribed to the people who normally you actually want to hear from.
Yeah.
And that's why getting somebody, the right people, to be on your email list is so important.
What are some mistakes that you see people making when it comes to their emails?
Not sending them is number 1.
Yeah.
That is the hard fact.
Yeah.
Number 2, and this is going to sound odd that this is number 2, it's poor formatting of all things. Don't get me wrong. What you say in it is very, very important. But again, treat people like people. No one's going to read a 5-sentence long paragraph.
Nope.
No one's going to do that. Right? Like, paragraphs are 2 sentences max. And if those 2 sentences have like 10 words apiece, it is now 2 paragraphs.
Yep.
So you need to make sure that not only are you making it skimmable, But with that, just the important parts, everyone, not all of it can be important. Bold things that you want people to see. When you are putting in links, realize that it's going to turn the font blue, right? Use that to your advantage. So don't just necessarily have, they call it a call to action. So that's like, read my blog post, watch us on YouTube, leave a rating and review for Rachel's show because it's amazing, right? Like, you want to make sure that besides having those clearly obvious ones towards the bottom, if you want to have a button if it's like super important, it's up to you. But like any of like those benefits, those things that they can get, like get Rachel's insight to 6 and 7-figure business owners that they never share, right? Highlight that part with the link for somebody to go review your podcast. Like you would be surprised at how many times people will click on that link as opposed to like, click here, read now, do this. Highlight some benefits with those things.
Yep.
The other thing you truly need to realize about email. So again, 1, send it. 2, formatting, the occasional blog, bolding rather, your paragraphs should be short. Throw in an image. It doesn't have to be huge, but like break up some stuff. A GIF works really well. You just download it to your computer as an image and then drag it into your email service provider. It should work. If you don't know how to do any of this, just ask your email service provider. They should be nice enough. Toss those things in there. Rachel, why do you think people go to their inboxes?
Procrastinate.
To escape. You got it. They are going in for dopamine. Now, as someone with ADHD, I'm aware of what chasing the dopamine is like, but it is everybody. Like, oh man, I should be pitching this person, or, the kids are just so boring right now at soccer. Like, oh, what am I going to do? They're going in there for a quick dopamine hit.
Yep.
So the other wrong thing, although honestly, if you send it, I'm just happy at this point, right? Is if you try to info slap people, because people are not going into their inbox with a mindset of hardcore learning. So when people are like, oh, should my emails be short? If you want them to be, but if you want to actually like really teach them something, then yeah, you got to send them to a blog post. You got to send them to a podcast. You got to send them to a video because they have to be in the right mindset. My favorite story, it makes me laugh every time. The only big fight my high school boyfriend and I got into, we were at the mall. He was eating M&Ms. I threw one of my lemon Skittles into his hand when he was not paying attention. And when he ate it, he was so mad because he was expecting chocolate and he got lemon.
Man.
I laughed so hard. He was not happy. Biggest fight we ever got into in the mall, right? Because treat people like people. You're going to realize I say that a lot. Expectations matter. Yep. One of the worst places that you can be in is the I'll read it later. Because guess what never comes? Later.
Never.
So you want that quick dopamine hit. That like, oh yeah, I'm not alone. Or, oh, you know what? When my husband starts arguing with me, I am going to say the phrase, the story I'm telling myself is. And then if I have more time or honestly attention or focus, I'll go read the rest of the blog article to figure this out. Or I'll go sign up for the webinar to send this out. So again, add a little intrigue, have that little story, make some correlations. That's the other thing that you need to do to make your email a little bit more interesting for people.
So more stories.
Well, just anything. It can be like, hey guys, did you know that's National Mint Julep Day? Because now they can go to their friends and be like, did you know it's National Mint Julep Day? And now they're cool. And you're going to tie it into either, if you happen to be a food blogger, mint julep recipes. If you're not, you can talk about how random it is. You could talk about how you find them refreshing, kind of like how when you get refreshed when you change the pillows on your sofa and you talk about interior design. So it's not like oh my goodness, guys, the other day I was doing that. Again, doesn't have to be rags to riches. It's just making those sort of random little interesting connections. It's like, did you know that when otters go to sleep, they hold hands? Like, isn't that so adorable? Because they don't want to lose touch with each other. Aww. Kind of like how you need to not lose touch with, and then you go on. That's like my favorite thing, which got me thinking about one of my favorite emails. And I actually like teach a whole part in my course about this, is how I locked my keys in my car because I didn't want to drop my iced coffee. I turned that bad boy and we made like $5,000 worth of sales on our email templates from that one email because I talked about how I was not concerned with the thing that's going to be actually moving my engine, the key. And so it's like, and then you kind of go, look kind of like,
yes. So look for just like random connections of like, how could I, like something that happened in everyday life, how could I tie that in with something that's
Right.
going on like in my business or in my world that will help
Exactly.
them.
And some emails just have to be straightforward. It is what
Right.
it is. But anytime you can pop in a little something different, if you're like, Kate, I'm boring, I could never make that connection. Before you send your email, whatever it's about, right? Whether it's a webinar invite, whether it is, again, a blog post, a YouTube video, Google some stats about something. It's like, did you know that like 85% of vegans are left-handed? Like, you know what I mean? And then go from there. Talk about a stat that can be your jumping off point. Look around at your desk and be like, what can I like parlay into what I talk about? Because that's the other biggest mistake, to round it back to your question, is when you go so off the rails from what people typically hear about you. So like right now, I'm really into powerlifting. Like I am so excited. It's like my favorite thing ever. But when people think of me, they think of business.
Right.
So I'm not going to send an email telling you guys about my powerlifting.
Right.
Like, yeah, I might make an Instagram story. You'll see me lifting. I'll talk about my coach, but like, it would make no sense for me to do a whole $180 because you don't care.
Right.
Because again, treat people like people. What's the expectation? Kate talks about business.
Right.
Now, if you want to pivot, then you need to let people know, like, I know we've talked about this. This is where I'm at right now. If you want to stay along for the journey, do nothing. If you're out, then go ahead and sort of click this. Like, so there's definitely ways you can pivot, but people get mad when it's irrelevant.
Right.
That's
or you could
like
tie in the powerlifting to something in your business.
Exactly. Right. Like my Instagram story I talked about today, like I just pulled 235 and I was talking about how,
look at you.
Right. Thank you. My goal is to get to 3 plates, which is 315, y'all. And I've only been doing this since August. So, right. But again, I'm starting off heavier than most females. So I feel like I should be able to lift more. So I parlayed that in my Instagram story into, because the biggest thing that stopped me from pulling 235 was that setup. It was my brain telling me, oh my goodness, this is going to be too heavy. So that's the story that you can relate. But like, if I went on and on about like a calorie deficit and like all this other stuff, like I'm doing with my coach, like, no, be like, what? Like, Kate, we don't care. So you have to tie it back for, again, that expectation that people have.
Yeah. Ooh, so good. What's one of the best books you've read?
One of the best, fiction or nonfiction?
Something that would support the audience.
I really love The Year of Yes by Sandra Rhimes. If you can listen to it on audio, I would do it. I mean, I have both copies, I'll be honest with you, but hearing her actually talk about it was fantastic. I know this next choice, because you only asked for one, is pretty basic, but I also really liked Big Magic. Like even though I know I'm an entrepreneur, I was not the kid selling lollipops, y'all. That's not the way I roll. But it was that creative part. I have always been a creative. I've always done art, music, musical theater, making things. I renovated our whole kitchen by myself. Like I'm a creator. And I really liked Big Magic a lot as well. But The Year of Yes and Big Magic are the two that I read at least once a year.
Those
sometimes for
really
Sandra. It's like 3 times a year, right?
Yep. Those
like,
are good ones.
We've got like practical ones like the copywriter's handbook and all that stuff, but that's not fun.
No, those are more
those
fun
two
ones.
are fun.
Yeah.
You can get a lot out of them without like, again, that expectation, without like, oh my goodness, like I have to wait till I'm in the mindset to like really learn.
Like a heavy book that you have to like digest, take notes and implement.
Yeah. It's like, these aren't heavy. These are just like, yes, kind of booked. I'm like, I love Sandra and talk about like laying track. I'm just like, oh, again, I love creatives that create. That's just like my bag.
Yeah. Well, what does it mean to you to make an impact?
It means for people not to have to worry about money. Like, I know that might seem kind of odd to say, but again, I started this business when we were on food stamps and I'm like, I need to get myself out. Like I've got 2 kids. My husband was making like a cool $20,000 a year in social services. Like this was it. So to be able to go from that to now not having to worry about the car breaking down, don't get me wrong, I still want it not to break down, but to have that not put us in such a tailspin, like that is huge. And to be able to make that impact for my students so that way they don't have to worry about it, but also so that way they have the confidence to go help their audience with something. Like, we have marriage counselors, people that are learning Finnish. Like that's the stuff that gets me. It's not like, oh, like how much money I've made, I'm so cool. It's like, oh my goodness, because I put something else out. Somebody else was brave enough to go do a course on Finnish. And now somebody else is over in Finland and they're communicating like, that's so cool that now they feel confident about themselves, all because I felt confident about myself. And then my student felt confident about their self. So that's probably a little bit more of the impact, but
the ripple effect is
the
huge.
2 layers, like, or like, we've got people that, do marriage counseling. It's like, that is just like huge.
Yeah.
Cause then now they're having a better day and now their kids are going to have a better day. And now the kid's teacher could have a better day because the kid's not acting out in class. And now, you know what I mean? Like, that's the part that like gets me like so excited. So excited.
Well, where can we connect with you?
Sure. So wherever you're listening to this fine podcast, after you leave it a rating and a review, guys, click on the cover art, scroll down. When you're there, after you left Rachel a review about how great she is, because she is, then you can search for Inbox Besties. That's probably the best place to hang out with me. If you are like, all right, you got me, I will email them 4 whole times a month, but I still don't know what exactly to write. You can head on over to katedoster.com/2 years, or you can go to katedoster.com/making an impact. I'll do both for you guys to get my 2 years worth of email ideas. So I literally map it out. Like I have August and then I give you the 4, September, the 4. I have some people that follow religiously. I have some people that like to jump around. It's however you want to go ahead and do so. So those are the best spots. Oh, and Instagram. You can see me do my deadlifts because on my Instagram stories, I'll share anything. So that's Kate_Doster, Doster.
Kate, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here and adding so much joy, fun, and value to our audience today.
Thank you for having me so much, Rachel. You're awesome.